We move on now to 21-year-old Wandile Msomi. He has been honing his skills in the art of debate. His dream is to become the youngest UN Secretary General, and he's well on his way. Msomi represented South Africa at the International Model UN in New York. He also won an Excellence Award at the International Youth Diplomacy Conference in Ghana for his presentation on child marriages in Africa. And he joins me now from our Durban studio. Thank you very much, Wandile, for taking the time out from your obviously very busy schedule to chat to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I want to find out firstly how you were selected to take part in that recent International Youth Diplomacy Conference in Ghana.
Well, with the recent International Youth Diplomacy Conference, it was by invitation by the leader of the South African delegation, Abiso Dubase from the Nelson Mandela Bay. So he asked me to join the South African delegation after he had seen my work in New York when I chaired the Wyman International Labour Organization.
Now, I want to find out, you're studying politics. We know that not all politicians are necessarily diplomats. We can see that quite clearly sometimes. Why is diplomacy so important to you?
Well, firstly, we find that when we speak to each other, and if we shout at each other and speak to each other in an undiplomatic way, the chances of actually listening to each other and actually carrying out what we have asked each other to do, it's impossible. With diplomacy, I like the saying that diplomacy is telling someone to go to hell in such a way that they enjoy the trip. That's what diplomacy is about. You speak to someone like a human being, and actually a lot of work can be done when we carry ourselves out in a diplomatic manner.
Now, your main aim is to become the youngest Secretary General of the UN. Why not the AU, or are you planning to conquer both?
Well, I found that although Africa has so many challenges, I found that the world has even bigger challenges. It's more than just in Africa. If you go to what's happening in South America, what's happening in the Middle East with Yemen and that war, Yemen is the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world. So I found that our problems go beyond our African continent. So I figured, why not the United Nations, where I can oversee both problems of the African continent and that of outside the African continent? Because issues that are happening in the Middle East, Europe, and all these places do have a direct impact on what happens to Africa.
Absolutely. You're currently completing your final year of politics at university. What are you going to be doing next year to continue your passion for diplomacy and debating?
Well, I thought that next year I should do my honors degree. And then after that, I was thinking probably I would have to go work at DIRCO and carry on my dream there of becoming a diplomat. So that's where I want to go. I want to go at DIRCO and just just contribute there. Or I could just go to the United Nations as well.
So because you're so diplomatic, we're going to test your diplomacy skills. What do you think of current leadership in South Africa?
Look, I think we're in a little bit of a crisis, but I think we will be able to find our way. We've just finished the election season, and that's a crazy season for us, for any country in the world. But I think as we then move on to, as we carry on the year and then going into next year, I think we'll be able to find our way. But I do think we are in a little bit of a problem, but I do think we have to promote speaking to each other in a diplomatic way. And Things will be better. Things will be better.
All right, thank you very much, Wandile Msomi, with your optimism and your diplomacy. Great things in store for South Africa.